FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Luciano's, no call! Score!
Salamini for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovsky with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Blasts. Yes! Edge!
Miljevic.
Beautiful ball! Here's Bozanic. They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Danikian and George Kotsanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
G2, I think we've won it. George Kotsanis every week finds me another Pioneer. Welcome to Football Nation Radio on a Thursday night when we actually introduce you to some special people who added to the game, who continue to add to the game, and not only made a real career for themselves, but left a few landmarks. And you've found someone here who left a landmark. You went to school with him.
We did go to high school together. Yes. Good evening, George.
Go on, introduce your schoolmate. We've descended to this level now. The Pioneers are just your schoolmates.
Well, I remember him as a left winger, as a striker and a goal scoring forward, and he morphed into the boring old centre half who,
Sorry, morphed into a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he did.
300 gamer.
Yes, he did.
Best and fairest winner. In fact, they named the award after him now.
Yes, correct.
So what's his name?
Micky Colina. Is that right? Have I pronounced it correctly?
You've done very well there, Georgie. No.
He remembers from school days.
I should remember. I wrote his name on the team sheet a lot of times.
Did they call you Colina in the western suburbs of Melbourne?
Yeah, they did that along with quite a few other names, but thankfully that was the one that was used most commonly.
Yeah, I had a similar problem too.
I never called him any names other than by his...
No, Georgie was good.
I noticed he's a little bit bigger than you.
Yes.
Was he always a little bit bigger than you?
He's always bigger, and I was always
Most
intelligent
respectful.
enough and respectful enough.
And
You don't
Georgie
pick
was
on-
much quicker.
But quite seriously, a fabulous career, Micky. And by the way, let's do it early.
Congratulations.
A great decision, a fantastic new chapter in your football career.
Yeah,
You're
thanks,
coaching
Ross. Yeah.
the Melbourne Knights.
Yeah, look, it's a great opportunity to be part of, obviously, a very big club in this country. Obviously, spending this year working with Aljosha Asanovic and Dejan Računica there. Opportunity came based on Aljosha sort of securing the gig with Slaven Bilic in Al Ittihad there in Saudi Arabia, which is a great opportunity for
So
someone
one
like that.
door opens, another one opens.
Yeah, so looking forward to the challenge, and I'm pretty confident that we can sort of do some good things there. So definitely looking forward to it.
When do you announce the squad, or have you announced it?
I think we're obviously in the planning process. We've thankfully sort of already secured most of the boys from this season and a few new boys, and I think the club will go through the process of the announcing of the different players that they have signed on, and the current squad that have signed, and obviously the new boys.
So G2 has told you that I'm not available because of injury and suspension?
No, he didn't, and that's changed
Otherwise,
everything
I
there,
would
George.
have put my hand up otherwise.
Well,
I'm about to make a comeback after
Oh,
watching
stop it.
Cardiff play on the weekend against Liverpool, but we won't talk about this.
Come on. What were your earliest football memories? Come on.
Very first football.
Mick Colina.
well, like I said to George, we were talking earlier in the back room there, and I just remember making my debut as a 16-year-old against Croydon, out there in the old Croydon ground at
Dorset Gardens, is that the one?
yeah.
Is that the one with grass or no
Right.
grass?
Well,
Not a lot of
that
grass.
day there wasn't a lot of grass, but I suppose it didn't really matter too much. I suppose. So I was on the bench, and it came on, I should say, and we were down like 2-0 or something like that, and playing against people that, as a kid, I used to watch non-Croatia, as most of us Croatian boys did, and playing against some of these guys that you idolised on a week-to-week basis, watching them play, and you had their number on your back, and I think Peter Blasby was in goals, David Brogan was up front, Georgie Campbell and David McIntosh, and you come on and in this mud bath, which wasn't conducive to sexy football, that's for sure. But tiki-taka wasn't high on the agenda that day.
No.
But managed to score 2 goals in a crazy 4-4 draw, and so that was definitely something that, as a player.
You're telling me
never
Blasby
forget.
copped 4 goals?
Yeah, look, he did. He was.
He hasn't been well of late. We don't want to scare him. Peter, we love you, mate.
No, Blaz is great. Blaz is great. I can't actually blame him for any of those moments.
Well, I remember he is in hospital at the moment, and we wish him all the best.
He said he'd be listening
Speedy
tonight.
recovery.
That's why I said, let's not scare him.
He does listen.
4 goals he got. Gee.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. So
He's
you
a
remember
Tottenham
that?
man, so we've got to love him, mate.
Yeah, I definitely, Blaz. I remember watching him again. Mother Croatia days, of course. The Olympic pump number 2 and number 1. And I mean, as a ball boy, you remember all this stuff, and you never forget those moments. And all you did, I just remember as a kid when it come to Olympic Park, try to get in the queue in front of the other kids to get a Guernsey to get on the pitch, you know. So they're those simple moments that I always say you'll never forget. And
They're not simple moments, they're magic.
well,
They're
I
magic
agree.
moments.
I agree, and it's sort of blessed to sort of be able to remember that and be part of those moments too, I suppose. So there's many other ones, I guess, but they're probably the ones that come to mind.
Who's the
straight
early
away.
influence? Was it Dad? Was that how it was? Family?
Or your uncles and
No, look, I mean,
your sister.
I'm one of 4 boys in our
Oh.
family. I'm the oldest of 4, and we started playing. I remember for St Albans in Maidstone at Churchill Reserve under 11s, and you know they formed a side, and St Albans in those days was just like in those days they had the Industrial League, and all they had was a Sunday League team.
It was a pub team.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I guess a couple of fellas decided let's make a junior club, and they ended up having about 3 or 4 teams.
So you're saying they were training in Maidstone? at the
Yeah,
time?
Churchill Reserve. Oh, sorry, no, Dobson Reserve.
Okay,
Dobson
so
Reserve.
it's close to home.
Yeah, correct. It was around the corner, so I went there, started playing, and it all started from there. And then as a club, those who follow the history of it, they moved across to St Albans, and the rest is history, so to speak.
300 games. Did you ever imagine you'd notch up that many?
No, look, I mean, you never think of the end, I suppose.
No, you're
you
playing.
sort of you're playing, and it just sort of just keeps going season after season, and you were lucky enough to start very young, I guess.
That makes a huge difference. Who are the coaches? Who were some of the great players that you got a chance to play as their careers maybe were finishing, or maybe they were starting?
Well, look, there was some notable people that I played with, and you know, they went on to become very influential footballers in Australia, whether a coach or a player. First, like Branko Colina. Branko Trulina, who's, when I started, was my teammate. Then he retired and became our coach. So I respect Branko a lot and have a lot of time for him. And he was probably one great influence on my football career, I think. He made me captain at the age of 19 there at St Albans. And,
So he wasn't afraid.
yeah, no, I'll give him that. And even in those days, when you look at football, how it evolves, I sometimes think to myself, and we talk to other people about it, I actually think he was kind of ahead of his time to a certain degree in the way he did things.
A different style of possession football.
Definitely, but even the management of people I found, I think just that management of people away from the old school where when I first started, Tony Vizina was our coach, and he gave me the opportunity, and I respect him a lot, and I still have contact with him today. And he was an individual very respected in football in Victoria.
But when he said something, you listened.
That's right, and you know, with Tony, nobody messed with Tony, you know, and you just knew where, doesn't matter what you did, even if you had a great game, he always told you didn't play that well. You know what I mean?
Bring you down a little
yeah,
bit.
and
Remind you, next week, try again.
And at the time, you're a little bit juvenile, so you think, what the hell is he on about? You know what I mean? But nevertheless, as you get older, you look back and you respect him. It's all part of character building. So I owe a lot to him in relation to
So
how he's evolved.
How did Branko do it differently?
Well,
Probably a man manager.
well, I was about to say, Branko managed people differently. Like, you know, he would talk to me in a particular way, and if I wasn't doing very well, he knows he could give me a barrage and I can deal with it and fire up, and hopefully my performance would improve. Then he knew with somebody else,
Put his
he
hand
couldn't
on
go
his
that way, that's right, to give him a hug and have a chat and like, you know, whatever it may be. And so that's one thing I noticed a lot about Branko, coming off someone like Tony for a few years there, and he comes in and just goes about his business very differently. Even the sessions, he introduced different things to the training sessions that weren't the typical, let's do 2 laps, have a bit of a stretch and have a game, you know what I mean? So I think I already saw in Branko just that difference, and you knew this guy's got to go and do some good things in football, and obviously
And he
I
did.
think he did. Yeah, exactly. When you look back now over his time, you know.
Yeah. So while you're at St Albans and making your way through, we talked about it a little
Making
bit.
a career.
You're going to keep picking on me all night? or
No.
what? He had a sensational career.
Just I'm reminding you that it's a schoolmate, so you can't go back that far.
And I'm very proud of all of his
Did you play
achievements.
together at school, by the way?
Yeah, probably
Yeah, we
50 or
did.
60
Yeah,
games
we
together.
did. Yeah, we did very well. I mean, George was the guy that always scored the goals. I mean, he was
Can
quick,
you just
he was
confirm
sharp.
to me, when he went past the fullback, was he content to go past him once, or did he have to go back past him 2 or 3 times?
Look, he didn't look. I can't actually say that he come back a few times. He, mate, you know, once he beat them, he stayed beat and he finished things off. You know what I mean?
I learned those bad habits a bit later on when I didn't get many touches on it to make the most of it as I got older. But we're here to talk about Micky. So from 16, getting that debut and you're working your way through, we talked about it. It's not just a matter of making a debut, scoring a couple of goals, and then walking into the team. Then you've still got to earn your stripes. So they made you earn your stripes, and you had to go back and ply your way through the resis and wait your turn. So when again did you get your next turn? What was the sort of process that you went through? Like, how long were you in the resis as a 16-year-old before you really started playing regular football?
In those days, when, like I said, that game against Colina was my first game, and then because Dennis Morovic, who was our leading striker at the moment, at the time, went overseas for a holiday.
As you do in the
As you
middle of
do,
the
you know,
season.
you're
You're
a
Never
bunch
give
of
a
fellas,
sucker an
you know.
even break, eh?
So he's gone overseas, which obviously is an opportunity for.
He was the king of St Albans at the time.
Yeah, he was flying, and so you get a bit of a sniff, and thankfully for me, you had a bit of joy there too. And I remember playing another game against Springvale City, City of their place, Corrigan Reserve. You know, scored there. We won 1-0, and like I was saying to you earlier, I don't think St Albans ever won there again against Springvale after that, which is a crazy stat anyway. But anyway, nevertheless, you know, you played a few games. Dennis came back. You went back to the bench. You know, played some reserve football, whatever it may be. So you're ticking, you know, the kilometres over, and you just knew your place, and you just kept working hard. And then I guess when you really sort of embedded yourself in the squad on a regular basis, we used to have the Buffalo Gold Cup, and the top 4 teams in the state league. You know, if you finished top 4, you'd qualify for that competition. There was like a pre-season comp, and our captain at the time was Denko Bukacic, who was retiring. Great player for the club. You know, high respect for him. You see him still today, and he was a very influential person in the squad. And he played half game, retired. And Tony Mazin was the coach at the time, and basically said, "Look, Micky, you're going as a left back." And I'll go, "Mate, I'll go wherever you want, just put me on. It doesn't matter," you know what I mean? So you did, and I think we were playing Juventus by memory, and I think we drew and had a positive result and did well enough to sort of get a start again the week after. And then from there, slowly become a defender.
So up until now, all your reserve team football had been as a
Up front, yeah.
left or up front.
Well, up front, yeah, as a centre forward, whatever, a striker, and or on the left, of course. So, you know, junior days, and in those days, you know, in juniors, you're big and strong, I suppose. You get away with a few things that boys just kick it up high, and you try to get on the end of something, and that's how things worked out, I suppose, by the time. But come senior level, obviously things change.
You didn't care, did you? You just wanted to play.
Oh, that's
Did
all
you
want,
ever
as
hear
any
the crowd?
player.
Could you hear the crowd in those days?
Yeah, you did. Like, you know, thankfully we were at a time where crowds were very healthy in football those days. You know what I mean? You know, you look for your scrapple. Sometimes you look around the pictures, and you know, you had 1,000+ people. Some of the Churchill Reserve at St Albans, and some of these other games that took place. And you think to yourself, I remember those double headers.
But those days the games were pulsating.
Oh,
I mean, I can remember taking camera crews down in the early days of SBS.
Yep.
And we're talking the mid-80s and the early 80s. And it was extraordinary. We couldn't move freely from one end of the ground to the other.
Yeah. No, it was.
So it must have been a joy for you.
Oh, I just remember there was one game we played. Not so much curtain raiser, but the first game we played against Preston, and Heidelberg was playing South Melbourne after us.
Thanks very much.
And it was like massive crowd, and I remember I was coming on, you know, off the bench till striker day, so to speak, and I remember I had a shot and hit the crossbar, and the crowd just went crazy.
Wow.
Like, I'll go, "Mate, you can take me off now. That's enough. I'm fine," you know what I mean? So
You wait all your life for that moment, don't you?
mate, you know, and I think myself, thankfully didn't go in because I would have embarrassed myself. The reaction, who knows what would have taken place after that, you know. So yeah, there was some big crowds that we see. You know, you look at these days the joys of YouTube and people have captured those moments, and you sort of look back in those days, the way the game was and the passion behind. I'm not saying there's no passion today, but it was just different. It was different, and you've got to be careful what you say to a certain degree these days. But the numbers that were attending the games, and just the sheer desire from everyone to back their team to win, you know, it's hard to explain, you know, and to be on the pitch to experience that is just another thing altogether.
Did you remember the early days of the V-Bomber, Mark Viduka?
Yeah, look,
remember the impact he made and
definitely.
The way the crowds loved his presence?
Mark, I mean, I was lucky enough to sort of meet him and know him personally, and he's a gentleman.
Terrific
gentleman
guy.
And I remember when we played a practice match against Melbourne Knights, and he was a young lad, obviously he'd come on, and I remember marking him, and the guy was just, you could just see there was something about this guy. He was just 2 steps ahead of everybody. Like, he wasn't a super quick player, but he was quick in mind, you know, the decision-making process. He was just a step ahead of everybody. And for someone that young to possess that kind of talent, and like, you just were not shocked to see him go on.
No, the only other guy that I can remember was Johnny Markovsky, who could light up.
Yeah.
If he wanted to, and if he was hungry that day.
If he was in the zone, yeah.
Gee.
I'm watching Jonesy on this, you know, Chapman Reserve, how many times. Like, you know, you'd obviously follow Nova Croatia. If they played away, then, you know, you go watch some sort of Georgie's play. And there's always a great crowd there too. I loved it. I lived down the road from it, and some of the stuff that took place there, where Jonesy, you know, left peak from 25, 30 metres, it wasn't
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Anyone who lived in the western suburbs who didn't break for Sunshine George Cross at the time would go if their team wasn't playing.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd have. It was
too exciting.
Yeah, it was
Too
must.
exciting.
You didn't want to miss Jonesy in full flight. And the most amazing thing about that was it was 15.
That's right.
He was doing it at 15.
Correct.
And you watched the highlights package, and you would remember surely the highlights package on the Monday night on SBS. The George Cross highlights package was just Jonesy's
That's
misses,
right.
or his goals, or hitting the crossbar from the halfway line, or the ball coming back to the halfway line.
Yeah.
I mean, he was something special. And in the discussion, the V-Bomber, Jonesy, they are 2 most talented players that we've ever. One probably fulfilled
Correct.
His potential.
Correct.
and the other one has left us, you know, teased and hanging and
wondering what could have been. Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Absolutely. And 2 western suburbs boys, just for that matter.
Do you remember Eddie Krenchevich?
Yeah, I remember Eddie too. I remember watching him obviously as a kid,
Yeah.
and then obviously met him quite a few times in his later years when obviously he retired from football
He was
naturally.
coaching, or
Yeah, and he was in Port Melbourne there, and South, I believe,
South,
too.
yeah,
And look, another talented footballer that went in the early days, you know, to Europe and plied his trade there.
pioneer of a different sort.
Correct,
Yeah.
you know, and he went to Dinamo Zagreb. I remember someone from overseas brought this video cassette of Dinamo Zagreb when they won everything, you know, and I'm watching this video as a kid, and I go, there's Eddie Krenchevich. This young Eddie Krenchevich in there, you know, obviously part of their setup in those years where they were just won everything sort of thing. So, look, from an Australian point of view, the footballers that we produced, people like that we forget, you know, Eddie, and even we talk about goalkeepers, Jakubanovic, another one, you know, and we're talking
Dynamic.
really early days here that football was really in its infancy. You know?
Did you ever dream of going overseas?
Oh, you did, like what kid didn't that played football? Obviously, you know, you used to watch big league soccer and stuff like that, and you go, man, that'd be crazy if you sort of, you just want to be on TV, you know, you think something of a footballer, how great would that be? So naturally you always have those dreams, of course, but I think if you don't have a dream, well, you have nothing anyway, so dreams are for free, so there's nothing wrong with having some of those.
Do you remember your first pay packet?
Yeah, it wasn't much. I mean, I just remember in those early days, you used to sign a contract and you didn't even look at it, you signed it.
Thank you.
You know, I think it was like $20 I think we got, and you know, like you hear these stories of the players are trying to negotiate more money and stuff like that. I'm just hoping they give me a contract. You know, it doesn't worry me, whatever it is.
We had Ulysses Kokinos, and he was telling us then,
Yeah.
$1,500 a week.
Wow.
I mean,
1971.
then, just think about it.
Yeah, well, I've heard some stories like another, I think, definite candidate for the Pioneer show, Steve Goyevich.
Yes.
Goyevich, oh yeah.
Steve Goyevich, who is actually going to be my assistant at nights this coming
Get
season.
out.
Yeah, look.
So
he's
you're
working
just
with-
breaking it now on FNR.
Yeah, sorry if I've Steve. Sorry, I didn't tell you. I should have told you this earlier.
He knows now.
If you're listening, no, just
He's just
kidding.
fallen over.
Yeah, look, you know, he worked with us this year, and I mean, obviously got the opportunity to share a lot of time with him at the club, and we went to Gold Coast for a tournament this year, and I took it, and he obviously assisted me there. The chemistry was good. We've got the same mindset in relation to football, the passion for the club, and what we want to try to do, etc. And his knowledge of the game is almost second to none. I mean, he's got so much to offer. you know.
Some left foot he had.
Oh mate, I tell you, he was another player that probably retired very early. You know, when you look back in his days, but he was like 16 playing senior football, 15 training with the seniors. You know, and in those days, you know, and he told me some stories of some of the money.
Yeah.
That was going around. I go, wow.
Well, I've told this story before. G2 knows exactly. We were at Wentworth Park. It was Panhellenic playing Apia, and at half time the committee men went out with a big sheet.
Yeah.
And they're dropping money. And
Yeah.
they're talking notes, not
Yeah,
coins.
that's right, yeah.
And then you imagine a double bed sheet, you know, tied up,
Yeah, of
and that was
course.
full of notes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Steve had those stories. I reckon after training on a Friday, the boys would come in.
And you'd be
And
waiting for
obviously all the punters there, and somebody just comes slip a 50 in your pocket, and then another one puts a 20 in there. Before you know, you walk out with probably $500 in your pocket.
That's
you
if
know?
you're winning.
Well, yeah, you're
Things
right, I
need to be
suppose.
going
Yeah,
well.
no, it always helps if you're winning. That's for sure. People are a lot more excited and a lot more giving, so to
That
speak.
very giving if you're
we're
winning.
talking to Micky Colina, and more importantly, those winning days were tremendous days. I want you to tell us about them when we come back. We're going to take a short break. This is the Pioneers, G1 along with G2 and Micky Colina.
Welcome back to the Pioneers on a Thursday night. G1 and G2 having a laugh and enjoying ourselves
I
with
can't
our
believe it.
special guest Micky Colina, who was once part of the Wingers Union but got sacked about the age of 17 for wanting to play at the back and do the team thing. Now, we've just been discussing.
By the way, before we go any further,
No.
Branko Colina, every team should have a player like Micky in their side. Also a seriously talented muso.
Branko's
From
pretty kind.
Kirkatziris, Micky Colina equals legend.
Thanks,
Goes out,
Gutsy. Too kind.
Stephen Chetudi, is it?
Chakudi.
Chakudi, solid, great leader, super competitor. Enjoy it, Mick. From Harry Bingham, Croatian talent and a passion for the game, and all embodied by Micky. And from Bobby McGuinness, oh, get them stories out, Micky.
What are those stories?
I don't know. Tell
Are
us
they-
about
are
the
they
story.
fit
What
for
does
radio?
McGuinness know that we don't know?
Look, I don't know what Bobby's on about, and I've got to be really careful what I say. Like I say, this is going out on air, and you never know, could be listeners just
Could be in
calling.
Croatia, they'll be listening.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we'll probably just play the safe one here, just quietly.
All right, okay.
Sorry, I was
Be
bored,
like
but-
that.
No, that's not boring.
No.
Tell us about your toughest opponents, who you enjoyed kicking the most, really. Let's face it, because you would have kicked a few in your time.
Yeah, look,
Anyone in Heidelberg that you enjoyed playing in?
Yeah, look, I mean, I remember Heidelberg when Phil Stubbins come over, and there was a big rap for Phil, and obviously him, and I think Andy Adele came a similar time, and Willie Raines, and
Good players.
Yeah, I remember we played them at home, and I was marker Phil.
Good crowd.
Yeah, big crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
big crowd at home, and we ended up drawing with them 1-1, I think it was, and it was like it was an upset for Heidelberg, so they were flying, and that's where sort of Phil and I first met, and
Sounds like a movie.
basically he got stuck in a bit. It was all right, but I don't like Phil. I'm sorry if I say this, but he didn't really like the hard stuff that much, you know.
He was a ball player.
and yeah, and I enjoyed that. But Andy Odell, on the other hand, we've become really good friends, by the way, and we have a relationship till today, and we keep in touch. But Andy didn't mind a bit of a stoush, and he didn't mind getting stuck in, and him and I, every time we found ourselves on the ground, both competitive, and
Tell us about Croydon. You played Croydon often.
Yeah, Croydon was another team that obviously I always enjoyed playing against because
Did you beat them often?
not a lot, but we had some joy towards the back end.
Oh,
Early days when they had some great players there, they were the kings of the state league.
Well, they were. There was a retirement village
That's
for a lot of
right.
old NSL
Correct.
players, and
And they had a
from the
great
back.
side,
Yeah.
but playing against these guys as a young'un, and you sort of get stuck in, and Davey Brogan and Andy Humble. I mean, these are people I love playing against because it was honest, it was competitive. When the day was done, you shake hands, you go inside, you have a drink, and you carry on, and I really enjoyed those games because they were honest and they were competitive. There was nothing, how should I say, sinister or dirty. Just everybody wanted to win, and there was a real honesty about that. And I really enjoyed playing the teams like Croydon in those days.
All teams are on the same page. Yeah, you played hard,
Yeah,
and
look,
then at the end of it, if you're up to it, you go for a drink.
Correct.
If you weren't up to it, you sucked off.
that's it, exactly.
What were the
And-
referees like in those days?
That's another thing too that we often find ourselves talking about these days, and there was some great referees, and I remember, Chris
What made them
Bambridge.
great? What made them great?
Well, you know what? They let the game play. Let the game play. They talked to players. I think they had this communication on the park. I remember, like, say, John Fraser, we're playing at home, and it was a wet day, and you get a little bit excited, and, let the opposition know that you're here to play, and I think like 5 minutes in, he would say, Micky, calm down, it's 5 minutes in, I don't want to give you a yellow card, just take it easy, it's wet. And so you all of a sudden have a bit of respect for this guy, and you sort of think, okay, that's fine. You appreciate that honesty from someone like that. Whereas these days, you probably would have been sent off in the thick minute, you know what I mean? So I know they've got a tough gig, the referees, I get all of that, but one thing I've always said, there's got to be that communication. The referees need to be the people that are working with this team, these two teams, that obviously both
To
want
make
to
a
win.
contest.
And, you want to keep it flowing, and, everybody wants to just win the game naturally, and I think it's important that when we leave the game, if we're talking about the referees, then there's a problem there. We should be talking about the game and the two teams that played and how well it went, and whoever won. So, but the referees in those days, there were some really great referees, and they all went on to do some great things. Eugene Brazali, Dennis Fitsinas, got a lot of time for, and like I was mentioned earlier, Chris Bambridge, John Fraser.
Well, they're some of the best referees we've had in this country.
Correct, and they were great, and they really, like I said earlier, they talked to the players. They were actually characters too. I remember we played, more Falcons, and Billy Wright was a character. I loved playing against Billy Wright. He was competitive, he was crazy, he wanted to win all the time, but off the pitch he was a gentleman. And we played at home, and I remember I was marking him, of course, and I think Chris Bambridge was refereeing the game, and he claimed somebody threw a coin at him, from the crowd, and he picked it up and he's going, Chris, look, they're throwing coins at me, He's going, just put it in your pocket and keep it and carry on, you know what I mean? And he's jumping up and down, freaking out, he can't believe what Chris said, that sort of thing, But that was a kind of banter that went on in those days.
That's the important thing, like in a referee and the man management, and we talk about it quite often, and it's one of my
Pet hates.
Yeah.
But in any industry, in a building site, in an office, anywhere, right? If you've got 22 alpha males,
Yep.
or alpha females for that
Yep.
matter,
Yep.
who could get boisterous, could be out of control.
Absolutely.
The person you put in charge needs to have man management skills. You will not put a person who can't handle that situation in charge of an office or a building site
Or doesn't understand
or whatever, who
confrontation.
can't understand
Correct.
what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't do it on a soccer pitch because they effectively are the manager of that particular match, and they need to be able to deal with so many different things over the course of 90 minutes. It's a choice.
I agree.
It is a
Agree,
huge
100%.
choice, and you're going to be coaching this year, of course, with the Knights. It's going to be fantastic.
And he's going to be
But-
well behaved.
But not only well behaved,
Always,
what you
always.
want from the coaches, and what you want from the referees and for the players. Everyone to understand, we want a fair crack at the contest.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And if he gives both teams a chance to finish the game as they started, full of endeavour and fully committed to wanting to win, then you're going to have a cracking game.
Of course, and I think the other thing too, and I'm sure many people always mention, the consistency is one thing that's important too. I mean, whoever the referee is, if they set the tone early in the day and it's going to be like this, well then, okay, I've got to deal with that now. And as a footballer, as a coach, teams,
You
on the
make
park,
adjustments.
You've got to deal with it now. As long as you're consistent, it helps you get through that game in a particular fashion, knowing what you're facing. You know.
No, that's fair, and that's what we want, consistency
that's
in the
right.
decision. You mentioned Bobby McGuinness. Did you end up kicking him at some stage? You must have come up against him a few times.
Did it a few times in the early days, and I was lucky enough to play against some great players like Bobby, and Bobby was obviously a great footballer. Went on to do some great things in my early days anyway, and then obviously.
What do you remember about the difference about playing against him, say, compared to a different type of striker? Where did he cause you concern?
I thought he was very quick.
He was nippy, wasn't
on
he?
the
He was
ball,
sharp, yeah.
and he was, how should I say? I mean, I don't know if this is the right word, but he was very cunning and clever.
No,
You know?
Cunning's good.
Yeah.
Was he lippy?
Oh yeah, he always gave you,
Yeah.
and you were young, so you didn't know what to say, so you just shut up.
I
and
just wanted that to
coughed
get
it,
out
you
there
know what I mean?
because
Yeah.
he called me a smart ass in the back when we were here, and I'm still taking
So
offence
this
to
is
that.
square up.
It's
No.
total square up. No, but he
No.
was a sensation.
No, he was a great footballer, and like I say, he was very cunning, and
Yeah, cunning
and he
is
did
the
some
correct.
great things.
It's a great analogy.
Mickey, would that have helped you advance your skills as a defender,
Yeah.
knowing that you had to make a slightly different adjustment to take this player or to cope with this style of player, and you'd put it in your reservoir there for the next time you played him or someone like him?
Or
Definitely.
we talked about it before, the difference about playing against Carl Gilder
Correct.
against
Yeah.
Bobby.
How
so
you deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, as you're young and you hope you learn and you try to learn, and you come up against different individuals, like you mentioned Carl Gilder and Andy Humbles, you Bobby McGuinness, and then you got some players who are quick, and I'm not renowned for my pace, sort of thing. So you got to deal with things.
So
in a
you were
different
good at
way.
angles.
Yeah,
you
look, I
came
mean-
at them and closed them
Well,
down.
you made sure that we didn't get into a race, because I know what's going to happen. I'll lose this race. So it was important for us to kill this competition very early. So you learn to deal with certain players in certain ways, and I guess that's how you develop as a footballer too. And that's all you want. It's all about experiences, and different players come up against different experiences on a week-to-week basis, and naturally they grow their knowledge pool, whatever that may be, and learn how to deal with different scenarios.
You played with a superstar at St Albans, Velimi Kukrashek.
Definitely a big influence in a lot of football stuff that I did, yeah, 100%.
On and off the field, tell us about how he helped you personally.
Well, firstly, I mean, Velimi will come to Australia, a very honest, humble footballer who, come game day, on the pitch, no passengers. He got stuck in. I remember we had a story.
No
and,
passengers.
Mate,
I love that.
I was captain, obviously, at the time, and you naturally introduced the boys, and my Croatian was very good, so you helped them out. And I remember he was saying, in those days, moulded boots were really just for a bit of pre-season. You didn't really
Be on
get
the hard
much.
ground.
That's right. So it was a screwing studs, and he was telling me he wants to get some bigger studs, you know, and so I'm
Longer
taking him around-
studs, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm taking him around to the sports stores and everything. He's found these rugby studs. Yeah, that's what I want. These ones, because a lot of the grounds were heavier, and you just wanted more traction. And then I thought to myself, I'll get a pair myself. You know what I mean? It took me a couple of games to get used to before I kept tripping over, because the studs was that much longer. But as a footballer, we used to stay after training, and for me, I would say, and some people might disagree, probably the best player in Australia in the air. I mean, he didn't lose many challenges in the air, and he taught me a few things, and he used to play a lot of volleyball back home in Croatia.
Your body.
And yeah, the hang time. He was one of these people that just seemed to just hang in the air. And we used to stay back after training, him and I, and there was another player that came, Dražen Božić was another, he played sweeper for us in those days, who was very similar to, you know, your Milan Ivanovic at the time was playing at Adelaide City, and another great footballer who sort of went back, and I think probably could have really done some really special things if he stayed in Australia. But nevertheless, three of us used to stay behind and just extra training and jump up and obviously just work on your game. And he shared some of those, how should I say, tips.
Yeah.
And
Insights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
into that, and like I say, as a footballer, a lot of time for him. We still keep in touch with today. He obviously cleaned up when he come here. He won the
Every
the
award.
Bill Fleming medal.
You
the
might
Rodney
invite him
medal.
to one of the coaching
Well, look,
sessions at the club.
it'd be
Youth
great.
season.
It'd be great. He's obviously living in Sydney now. He's been there for a while.
Make the
and,
invitation now. And
Yeah, Vladimir, if you've got nothing happening in 3 weeks' time, come down, mate. That's for sure.
We'll be
You're
ready.
more than welcome, you know.
There you go.
So, no, Vladimir, a great player. He went on to do some great things at Sydney United. And on top of everything, a gentleman. We've got a lot of time for him. And I think he is a person who's respected in the football world, definitely in the Croatian community in relation to what he's done.
did you ever meet Vedran Rožić?
Yeah, Vedran Rožić, I remember I met him. And one of my early experiences, I remember when Sydney Croatia come down to play against Melbourne Croatia when they were opening the Alco Park Stadium. Snowbirds played against North Geelong as the curtain raiser, and Sydney Croatia played obviously against Melbourne Croatia. And I remember they brought a limited squad. Vedran was the coach, and Tony Mazzini was our coach, and I was again naturally just
Was
a young.
Bosnich playing then?
I can't remember the squad because I think I was about, like I said, 16 years old. It
Because
was
I can
like,
tell you, there was Wally Shavor,
Yeah.
Kovacevic,
Uh-huh.
there was
Kovacic, yeah,
Kovacic,
yeah.
there was Bosnic,
Rezo.
Rezo,
Yeah.
and it was something to
Well,
behold.
when they come down, they were short of some players, so Tony
Get
said,
out.
Mickey, go sit on the bench for these guys. I go, "Yeah, no worries, so I'll sit on the bench. And I think I came on and played like 5-10 minutes. They were just token 5-10 minutes just to give this kid a bit of
He
a
was a
run.
player.
But
Yeah.
I remember, obviously in the room with these guys, so you're in awe naturally as a kid. And I just remember I ended up keeping the Patrick shorts, which was pretty special at the time as a kid.
Souvenir.
So they go, no, just keep it, it's fine, no worries. Yeah, no, Vedran Rožić obviously went back to Croatia. I expect we know what he ended up
Superstar.
doing. He was a massive person for football in this country, I think, when he came. Definitely an intelligent football person, and he did some really great things at Sydney Croatia.
You're talking about great things. You played over 300 games for St Albans, so your childhood team. 300 senior games, captain at 19. Just before I move on to all the good stats, as a 19-year-old captaining the club, what were your thoughts, Tom? Were you nervous? Were you thinking, I'm ready? Were you thinking, is this too early? What was going through your mind?
I remember at the time, obviously, Branko had become our coach, and he named me as captain. And I remember I was actually 18 at the time, turning 19. And at the time, I'll be honest, I was very honoured and humbled, but I already had been in the senior setup for 3 years at that time, and played 3 years, and I was, like I said, I didn't know how to take it, but I was definitely honoured to have the opportunity to captain the side like what we had at the time, because you got to remember there was people like Velimir Kupršak coming down, and Dražen Bojic, and you're captain to some of these people. I think to myself, gee, like it was very
Your
overwhelming.
family,
you know,
your family were
Yeah.
over the moon.
Oh, it was a
Your
massive
father?
moment. Yeah, of course. I mean, even though he never really ever said anything, but I'm sure I'd like to think he was proud of what was going on at the time,
Of course you were.
But it was that tough love stuff, I suppose, those days. But nevertheless, so yeah, definitely an honour to be named captain of the squad. And but you sort of, at the time, you didn't really know what it meant. I mean, I'll be honest with you. As much as it might sound juvenile, but it was really just tossing a coin and, okay, I'll represent the team for whatever it may be. But as time went on, and I give credit to Branko and
He made you a leader.
teammates like Velimir Kupršak and Dražen Bojic and these other people that were in the squad at the time, a young Oli Pondula come in and some of these people, yeah. And I think they also grow as a leader at the time. And naturally, as you evolved as a player with that mantle as a captain, you never stop learning. You never stop getting better at that. I like to think I got better at it, and it was an ongoing journey as a leader. And I'd like to think over the course of that time, you can look back and say, you hope you did some good things that people probably respected you enough to say, look, he was a player that we were proud that he was our captain. So and look, at the end of the day, it is very humbling to look back and say you spent like 12 years as the captain of the club and captain of a team that had so many good footballers and went on to do some special things.
Absolutely, and we're all proud of you. I certainly am.
And the
You made the
Croatian-
Hall of Fame.
I was going to say
at
the
club.
Croatian communities.
Well, the Hall of Fame at the club, and the best and fairest trophy at the club is named in your honour, which is sensational. So you clearly did a good job. And also the Croatian Football Association in Australia, you also made the Hall of Fame there. Just on a personal note, just indulge. What did that mean to you?
Look, I mean, all those moments you just mentioned, they'll look again very, very humbling. I mean, you don't even know how explain. It's almost you at times you sort of think you're not even worthy. I mean, why me? Sort of thing, you know. I mean, I guess you're a person who just went and did your stuff, and when things like that happen, probably not a big. I don't know. Don't dig the attention so much, I suppose. You know, you just want to get on and do what you need to do. But it definitely tugs at the heart. There's no doubt about that. And firstly, obviously, the club when they named the trophy, I thought, look, it was an honour. So there's no doubt about that. You know, and then the Hall of Fame thing again. I always say to players, whatever you do, you know, you're making history for yourself. Whatever it is, your history. Everyone's got a piece there. Everyone's got a chapter in their lives that, you know, you're just writing pages. And all you want to do is one day reflect, and you hope that there's so many good stories that you can reflect on and share with people. And thankfully, there's some moments from a footballing point of view you'll never ever forget, and they sit very high in your heart as far as just it's they're warm, fuzzy feeling stuff, you know what I mean?
And so they should.
Yeah, so, and then the Croatian Football Association of the country, when they had their Hall of Fame, and to be inducted in that, and obviously nominating myself to be inducted in that, it was a massive moment, you know, definitely proud of that, and again, like I always say, very humbled by it.
Very good. So 12 years as captain, which was more or less as a leader, leading you into a coaching career. Were you thinking towards the end, was it something that when you finished playing you started to think about? At what point did you start thinking, I want to coach, or maybe a coach?
I guess while you're playing, I'll be honest with you, never have thought about it ever.
Okay.
You know, you just played, and then when you sort of retired at VPL level at the time, and naturally as most older footballers, they go to Sunday football, you know, or they play lower leagues. And I was
Tell us
lucky
about
enough-
the Gospic Bears. Is that
yeah,
right?
Look, I mean, for 2 years I played in Vukovar, who was like a Sunday league side based at St Albans.
Yes.
And Gospic Bears approached me to come across them and do like a player coach thing. You know, I was lucky enough, I knew a few of the boys who were part of it and very passionate.
What
about
is the
it.
Gospic Bears?
They're another Sunday league side
Okay.
that played in, I think they played in a similar competition to Snow's Vukovar now,
Okay.
but at the time they were like state 3, you know, or state 4, the provisional, but it was part of the FFV program.
They were part of his coaching audition.
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, you never thought about it, so you think, okay, I'll road test this coaching thing, I'll just fly by the seat of my pants and bluff my way through it, I guess. But the boys were great, you having a kick yourself, you enjoy it. It was a social thing, and you're trying to make a difference to this very amateur club that was very passionate. And thankfully, we went and won a couple of titles and did some good things, and the club's still around today. I think they're celebrating their anniversary coming up shortly in a couple of weeks' time. So having spent, I think, about 4 or 5 years with these guys and really established some great relationships, some great people that I still talk to and see regularly today. From that point is when the Melbourne Knights sort of opportunity opened up, and they approached me to do the under 21s in those days. It was in 2011. That's probably the point where, from Gospic Bears to Knights, when Knights approached you, you thought, hang on, maybe I should be a little bit serious if I want to do this, or maybe just keep doing what you're doing in Gospic Bears, I guess. So the opportunity, I think it was when Knights approached me in 2011, that probably actually started to drive, hang on, this is the real deal. I mean, you want to have a crack, this is probably
Mickey,
the
I think
opportunity.
as a player, you always wanted to be the best you could be. I wouldn't think, I think this is a natural progression for you.
Yeah.
I think this is outstanding timing, outstanding opportunity, and I think you'll grab it with both hands and do a fabulous job.
Well, like I always say to people, I definitely approach it all with all the honesty that you have. You know, you're passionate about it. You always wear your heart on your sleeve as a footballer, and I think as a coach, you're no different. You're forever learning. You never stop learning, and in the scheme of things, I probably know nothing compared to what can be learned in the world of football, I suppose. But all you want to do is you want to make a difference. You want to leave something with the day you move on, or whatever it may be. I mean, you always don't want to think that way, but it does happen. But you want to make a difference, and I'm hoping that now this opportunity at Knights, obviously a big club as we all know, and with the people that we've got involved and the passion that the people have for the club and to do something good, I really believe we could probably surprise a few people, but we want to, like I say, just have the honesty about everything we do.
Speaking about leaving a legacy or whatever, or at least a mark to where you've been, you spent a few years down at North Geelong. How long was it in total?
Almost 4 years, yeah.
4 years.
Almost
And there
4
was
years.
2 promotions.
That's right,
So
yeah.
there was a bit of an up and down.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a great journey. I'm sure you enjoyed it.
And good experience.
Tell us about that.
The North Geelong opportunity, I was at Richmond at the time, working with Graham Brebner, and
Another tough character.
yeah, look, Breb's on the way again. We established a relationship after the Richmond experience, and we're still friends today, which is great. A lot of respect for him, and learned a lot of things working with him in that short time. Obviously, North Geelong, they had a coaching opportunity. They approached me to see if I was interested, and to be honest, I didn't take it up straight away. I mean, I was working with Micky there at Richmond too, and I thought about it for a couple of weeks. Do I not, etc., etc. You know, you sort of start processing things, and in the end, I thought, okay, let's give it a go. We sat down, we talked about things, the vision, what they wanted to do, and the club, you know, they wanted to make a change. I wanted to do some things, plan some things, grow into something. And there was a long-term plan, you know, and at the time when we sat down, I remember Jesse Zilich's house, and there was about 6 or 7 of us, you know, discussing things and what we thought about football and where it's all going, what we want to do, and it was a 3-year plan to establish a squad and get promoted the next league up. And I think we were 10th on the ladder at the time, and the ironic thing was, you know, my first game with North was against St Albans.
Oops.
At St Albans, so
No pressure.
you know, yeah, so but in the end, you know, North, we ended up winning 3-0, so it's obviously a bit of a weird feeling sort of thing, but we won 3-0, and we started this crazy run where I think we won like 10 or 11 games or something. Australia were unbeaten, and we went from like 10th to like 2nd, and the other crazy thing is we actually secured promotion with a few games to go, still playing against Norman's at home. So that was a bit sort of, didn't know how to take that, I suppose. So it was great for the club, and you know, nobody saw it coming. You know, nobody saw it coming. You know, a very modest club that produced some great footballers, which people forget. You know, I mean, you know, in North Geelong, you name some of the people that come out of there, represent the country, went to play overseas and did some great, you know.
Joseph Skoko.
Joseph Skoko, Didlitz, you know, I mean, Spranovic is playing now, you know what I mean? And
Didlitz did about 7 knees, I think.
yeah, you know, and
Would have been.
Johnny, and he's
some
obviously in
player.
the PFA now.
Yeah,
His brother, Joe, like as a goalkeeper, you know. So some great people there, and I was really, really happy for the club in the sense of there was real honesty, some great people there, you know, a small community, and to do what we did the way we did it with very limited resources, to find ourselves playing with the big boys, if you want to put it that way. And I think there was an honesty. Look, we got relegated in the playoff game against Victory. Again, we learnt a lot from that. And then the following year, back in NPL 2, as we called it, obviously the dynamic of the competition changed because the East and the West thing going. And,
Conference.
but look, there was no pressure to say, look, Mickey, we got promoted, let's do it again, type of thing. I mean, we just did our stuff, and we obviously had a culture there, which is, you know, something we could be proud of, because nobody left. Even when we got relegated, everybody stayed. The players wanted to keep being part of this journey, and you know, lo and behold, you know, we sort of go through the season, we find ourselves back in another playoff situation against Dandy Thunder, who probably by their standards had a disappointing year because they had big plans, obviously, to go up, and really the squad they had, it was just unfortunate. In football it can happen, you know, things don't always work out to
Injuries can impact you.
So we played them in the first playoff, and we beat them 4-1 at Port Melbourne's ground, and then we had to go play Richmond, which is my old club, in the playoff, because obviously they wanted to stay. You know, I mean, they obviously, I think they were third last. Obviously, that's why they were in the playoff game, and we were playing them, and we ended up winning 4-0. So you're back up again, sort of thing. And look, I mean, unfortunately, we did the yo-yo thing. We're back down the following year, but you know, the competition was very ruthless, and we, at least, if anything, as a club, we sort of learned what you need to have, where you need to be competitive in that competition, and there was a lot of honesty, and there's a lot of potential there, and I think they're in a good place now. They're obviously doing well, and just the mindset and the culture around the place from a football perspective is is to another level again, and they've got some great people involved there, and Josip Skoko heavily involved there, and big influence and things, and I really believe in years to come they'll be in that competition again and be a team that'll stay there and add a lot of value.
Has Josip given you any of his coffee yet?
I've had it at the club many times when I was down there. No, definitely plenty of times. It's great coffee, so do yourself a favour, get yourself into it. No, definitely good stuff, that's for sure.
George, I think, gets free coffee for doing the ad.
Stop it.
What did you learn in those 4 years
Yeah.
with the yo-yo experience,
Yep.
working with limited resources,
Yep.
about yourself that's going to help you now going forward? Not about just coach, but about you.
I think some of the things you learn over that journey at North, especially with the challenges that we faced, was the importance of the man management, the importance of getting the buy-in from people. You know, you've got to, I believe you have a story and you've got this plan and you've got to sell it to people, and the people in that room need to buy into it. And you know, on paper we didn't have a super squad if you go through names, but we definitely had a group of people that were committed and honest, and they wanted this, and I think it showed in so many occasions. We played games, and these people were prepared to be, like I always like to say, we had a game-like mentality. You know, this was a unit on the pitch. They were honest and they worked hard, and they were rewarded for those efforts. So it's always tricky. I mean, again, like I say, from a coaching point of view, I'm a baby in the scheme of things, I guess, but you're always learning. You never stop learning, and one thing I have learned over this time, the importance of that buy-in from a group of people. And I think in anything you do that involves more than one person, you know, in a team environment, you need to have the buy-in. You've got to be all on the same page. You have to believe in the same thing. That person needs to be prepared to fight for the other guy that's next to
Have
him,
your back.
you know, and that's a powerful tool if you can gather that across the whole squad.
Our pioneer, Micky Colina. Now, you're a proud Australian Croatian. How much joy did you get from the World Cup in Russia when you saw Croatia play that style of football and go as far as they did? And I suppose if you think it long and hard, probably answered all those teams that didn't deliver the promise that they've done for years, because they've been warriors and talented footballers for years. This time round, they came and played a style of football with some energy, and they all bought in, except for one guy who was sent home early.
Yeah.
Is he ever going to forget it?
Well, I'm sure the boys will remind him of it, but I think I don't know the guys personally, of course, but I can only imagine that he's been forgiven for it and he's moved on and he's still a part of what they do. I'd like to think so. But the answer to your question before, definitely proud. I mean, you know, you watch that tournament, you know, and you watch their journey, how they've gone through. They really seemed like that unit that we always talk about. They were a unit, and you know, and you read some things, and Darge came in there, obviously 11th hour, and really could have went two ways. You could have really disintegrated, and the tournament could have been a disaster. But he grabbed them and basically made them believe and become one. And that's the stories that I hear about what he did different. I mean, the football, they were good footballers, no question about that. But they had something. You just saw it when you watched these games in their eyes. They had this belief they were one. They were definitely one. And they went and did what they did as a unit and got to the finals. Unfortunately, you know, people can say, could have went this way, a decision, this and that. That's football. But I think they definitely were proud of what they achieved. There's no doubt about that. But I think they definitely earned a lot more respect in the football fraternity around the world after what they did. And you know, it's really crazy, and not taking nothing away from France. I mean, France were quality, they won the World Cup, but it's really weird that somehow the Croatian national squad had so much more exposure and they lost the final. So I think that has to be saying something, you know, to the footballing world, for them to be held in that way after not winning the grand final, you know, of the World Cup.
They took it on. They took the contest on, and they didn't go backwards. That was fantastic.
It was a joy to watch. Speaking of unit, you've got 3 beautiful girls, 4 beautiful girls at home that you want to say hello before we disappear.
Yep, Christina,
Yep.
the oldest daughter, the middle one Ivana, and Petra, the youngest one,
And the wife.
Ljubica. Without them, I'll tell you what, doing the football thing would be just so much less rewarding. With their support, they've always been behind me and made things easy to
And
handle.
life is sweeter.
And you know, and they love their football, which helps a lot. You know,
And should
So they love their
anybody
football.
knock on the door, and if the boy's looking at girls, there's a trouble because Dad's very big.
There's big boys to look after
He's
himself.
been one of a kind, G2.
I know he
You've
has
done
been,
well.
has been for well over 40 years contributing to the game. I wish you so much luck with this new venture. I know it's going to be a success. All the best. Continue doing what you're doing. Give it your all. Give it the passion that you've always given. Disappointed that you're no longer a winger. You're part of the Backlands Union, but I love you and I forgive you.
No, thank
Micky,
you very much,
Colina,
guys.
thank you for being on the
No,
Pioneers.
been honoured to be part of it. Thank you guys for the opportunity. Well done. Great
We'll
show.
be watching, mate. We'll be watching.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Cheers, man. No, thanks,
Thank you,
Ryan.
Captain.
No,
You're good.
FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Brazilians, no call! Score!
Salamidi for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovski with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Bath blasts. Yes! Edge!
Vujovic.
Here's Bazanic. They haven't! They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Danikian and George Kotzanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.